Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news discussion and, of course, a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. This week, we are talking about Secret Project 1. If you haven't listened to Brandon's announcement or our emergency Shardcast that we did on it, yeah, we are going to spoil the surprise of that, and we're going to talk about some sample chapters. Hey, you probably already know, but hey.
I mean, at this point, who hasn't heard about the Kickstarter?
The New York Times has heard of it, so, you know.
Yeah.
I don't think this show is going to be the thing that spoils you. It's probably like a random other press. But hey. I'm Eric, and joining me is Grace.
Hello, I am Gator Girl in my, I am cosplaying as Tress today with my braid.
You're basically Tress.
It's true. I got very excited when I read the description of the hair, and it's like a light brown, dirty blonde hair that gets super tangled and is hard to deal with. And I'm like, oh, that's me.
You literally showed us a hairball of just like, this is what happens when I comb my hair. Yep. Also joining us is Alla. What's up?
Hello, I'm Rasarr, and I don't really have the looks to cosplay Tress, but I do have the cups.
Ooh. Cheers.
Several different cups, though I'm not gonna be drinking from all of them right now because...
Oh, I am.
I mean, that's gonna be too much. But yeah, we've got Star Wars cups, we've got Christmas cups, and we've got the Fox in a Cup cups, which I don't know, it doesn't really show well. I think I put this one in dishwasher when I really shouldn't have.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Can I ask a philosophical question? Just, are glasses cups? I just want to throw that out there before we get the intros done. It doesn't matter for everything. People are tuning off the video as we speak. As I ask
I think according to Tress, they are.
Okay.
One of the cups she gets is red glass, isn't it?
Yes.
I think so.
I don't remember. I read it yesterday and I don't remember.
See, I would personally, and you know, as a non-native speaker here,
okay, yeah, that's fair.
Say a cup isn't made of glass. Like if it's made of like, I don't actually know what this is made out of. Ceramic or clay. Yeah. That's a cup. But if it's made out of glass, then it's a glass.
See, but that's a mug. I feel like glass is more of a cup to me than mugs are.
Oh yeah, mug is also a word that exists.
Yep, I love it. This is the hard-hitting analysis that you want from this channel, really.
I think I would classify like this. Mugs have like handles.
Yeah.
So this is both a mug and a cup.
Yeah, but when you say teacups have handles, and they have cup in the name.
Yeah, so I just Command F searched
cup,
like red. And yes, the second cup was made of pure red glass.
Okay, there you go. Glasses are cups, according to Tress. Easy.
Well, not according to me.
Okay, that's fine. Look, I think reasonable minds can differ as to what is a cup. Okay.
Yep.
Also joining us is Veronica.
Hey, I'm Cheyenne Sedai on the Discord and the forums.
And I am Chaos, and It's been a busy week, hasn't it? It's been
my God.
Really, really busy. We're recording this on March 6th. There is going to be a stream on Tuesday that talks about Secret Project 1, aka Tress. Go read it. It's in the description. Or at least the sample chapters. But Brandon put out 5 frickin' sample chapters for Secret Project 1, and he's gonna put out new sample chapters for Secret Project 2 on the next Thursday. But you know what? I can't get these edited so fast. Like, we busted our butt to get the emergency Shardcast out when it did, because Grace wanted to get it before the Thursday thing where we knew about Secret Project 1. So I'm like, okay, Grace, we'll make it happen.
And all of my speculation was immediately proven wrong.
Yeah, and that's why we had to get it out on Wednesday. That's why we had to. But just so you know, I realize that this episode is coming out like the 12th or 13th. I don't know which one. And Brandon's stream about Tress will have already happened, and we have no idea what he says. So
no idea.
Just know
Chill.
that if there are anything pertinent, we're gonna append that just to the beginning of Secret Project 2's thing, okay? Because we're gonna do weekly episodes for this week,
my
and
gosh.
I'm so thrilled to edit it all.
Pray for the editors.
Pray for me specifically. It's me. So, needless to say, these will be like a week delayed. We got Tress this week, but you're getting this a week later because I need time to edit these things, and that doesn't. It takes a bit. So that's what we're doing, and so that's going to be March. So my apologies to the patrons who voted on the next Shardcast topics, and Brandon just took a big dump on our schedule because
Oh my god.
I thought Brandon, because I did know that there was an announcement coming. I'm in the know. But I just thought it'd be like titles and blurbs. I didn't think he's going to every week there's a giant Kickstarter. There's going to be, every week I'm going to just dump preview chapters for you. Have fun, everyone. Oh my God. I didn't expect that. I thought we'd need to do a bonus Shardcast about the announcement. But nope, we got to do 4.
5.
Thanks a lot, Brandon.
Including, the emergency Shardcast is 5.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thanks a bunch. Granted, this is a great problem to have, that there's too much to do.
Yeah,
it's a great problem to have. I'm more just sassily complaining. It's not actually a problem. Though this week has been insane, and I'm very tired.
Insanity.
So let's talk about some news and just what's been going on and how people feel, because I know, Grace, you're on the emergency Shardcast, but I wasn't, because you guys recorded it when I was at work. But how are you guys feeling about the Kickstarter and all this stuff?
I mean, honestly, for me, it was this whole announcement, as crazy as it was basically the only thing kept keeping me from going crazy for IRL stuff. And so It was great to just be able to think about something else, to be a part of the community. It's a great time to be a Sanderson fan, honestly.
It's true.
So,
and it's going to continue to be a very busy time.
For the next 3 years, honestly. I was working on the World Hopper schedule yesterday, and we literally have episodes lined up until 2025.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yep. So it is now the #1 Kickstarter ever. And it's been just a few days, so who knows how high it will go, which is very humbling for, me being in the fandom. It's wow, our fandom's big. and we have a lot of very excited fans, which I mean, we knew that already, but it's just seeing a number attached to it. It's that's a lot. That is a lot.
Yeah, it's honestly a little bit scary.
It is kind of scary. Yeah.
When I see some people talk about it, it feels like some people are willing to sell their kidneys to, get
please don't do that. Just as a note, please don't sell your kidneys to cartels to get money to buy things, especially for the international shipping. Please don't do that. Please take care of yourself. You will be able to get the ebooks, even if you don't back the Kickstarter, because they will be the ebooks and audiobooks will be available a bit after they drop for the Kickstarter backers. The hardcovers will eventually come out in regular print. That one is probably the biggest thing you'd miss out on. The hardcovers are nice, but I don't think anyone our swag box is that cool. Really, they're fine. But I don't know if they're worth hundreds of dollars. Cool,
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really a swag person.
Yeah.
If I got stickers, they would sit on a desk somewhere for years until I eventually decided to throw them away.
I like pins. I like pins.
Shirts in my size that I like the design of, I might wear. Posters, I might eventually put on a wall somewhere, but other than that, I am not a swag person.
There's no way it's going to be posters. We don't know what's going to be in the swag box. Unless Brandon talked about it on Tuesday, in which case, none of this conversation matters. Great. But the Bridge 4 poster, they had to all pack separately because people didn't want it folded. So, I don't think there's going to be big posters. So I'm just I don't know what's going to be in the swag boxes.
It might be something like the art prints for the Radiant Daughters for the Leatherbound Kickstarter. I still need to put mine up.
Yeah. But if you are like, I want to see the swag, but I don't want to pay the shipping or just the expense, even if you're in the US, it's still really pricey. Well, don't worry, because I'm a poor sap who bought it anyway, and we'll do unboxing videos on this channel. You can live vicariously through us.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's content, really. Like, will the videos make enough money to overcome the cost? Absolutely not. The ad revenue's terrible. But it will, like, subsidize maybe $10 of it. So, yeah. So in 2023, we'll have those. But I don't really like stickers. I like pins, though. I do.
I really like pins.
Pins are nice.
But I also don't have space for any more pins other than my 17th Shards pin on my jacket. So
I need a display case for all the pins that I have because I've accumulated a lot of sweet Brandon pins. They're pretty cool. But
I don't really have anywhere to put pins on.
So yeah, it is kind of weird, right?
Yeah, I like pins as a thing to like hold in my hand. But I don't really know where I would put it.
Yeah.
I know people put them on like their con lanyards and things. I put mine on my senior jacket because it's just traditional. Like, yay, I have pins to put there.
That's true.
And eventually when my shard pin arrives, I'll be putting that there. It's this one space I have left.
I wanted to talk a little bit about what Brandon's blabbed since this has gone out. And Brandon made a few Reddit comments. One was him talking about how the money's gonna go, like, because this is a lot of money. What's Brandon gonna do with the money? And he was saying how, like, at least half of this money is just like Brandon's not the money guy at Dragonsteel. Obviously, he's the writer guy, but at least half is just solely dedicated to making, like, printing the books and creating the swag and stuff. And he's not sure if the shipping charges are in account in the number, which certainly would inflate that $20 million amount with the shipping costs.
Yeah.
But he thinks that it is in the total. And so, like, literally all of that's just directly, like, shipping. And, like, they're not doing anything with that. He does recognize the outrageous shipping to international customers, but they'll do something eventually for Europe, but not this time. He's going to pay his team a healthy bonus.
Good.
And you know what? I think they frickin' deserve it because
they deserve it.
Because, like, I imagine working for Brandon is both amazing and horrible because it's like, oh, great, we got our schedule. We're gonna go do that. Brandon's gonna create a giant Stormlight book. That's gonna be crazy. And then Brandon just leaves five manuscripts on the table. It's like, hey, here you go, guys. Have fun producing that.
And they're also working on the Words of Radiance Kickstarter, which is next year. So.
Please give them a very healthy bonus, I say, because you have the money to do so. And Brandon says 40% of what's left over after that will be saved for taxes and other problems. And Brandon says, I'll still be left with a nice chunk, don't get me wrong. And much of that will probably go towards building the community bookstore that me and my team have been wanting to do for years, which I think is very cool.
Yes.
What does that actually mean, like community bookstore?
I feel like it's going to sort of be like a front-end place that's going to be in Utah where they're just going to sell Brandon books because Brandon's very popular down in the area around where he lives. Oh, and then people can just, like, maybe get the Dragonsteel editions instead of it just being in the warehouse. Like, maybe there's, like, I don't know if it's just going to be Brandon books or it's, like, more than that. I don't know.
Oh, so like a physical shop.
Yeah, I think like an actual physical bookstore, yeah.
I would hope that they also offer some of their non-book Brandon merch if it's just Brandon stuff. Like,
that'd have to be the case, right? Like shirts and stuff. Like, yeah absolutely.
Like a place where you can physically buy like shirts or stickers instead of only being able to order them online.
I think that you're right on there. There was a Reddit comment that was asking if he would commission short stories and novellas from up-and-coming authors to spotlight something sent along with the swag box. Because I think one critique is, and I don't, well, let me just say the critique, that this money could be going to publishers who could help up-and-coming authors. Because like that is one aspect that having a big-time author and the publisher getting money does do, is that the publisher, it sort of subsidizes you know, the less
advances
well-selling
for new authors.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So I think that is a reasonable critique, because like that is an advantage of the traditional publishing. So that would be cool.
That in itself was part of what made Brandon become a big author, because Tor was able to get his advance and his things, and also pay for Way of Kings, which was insanity. They weren't even sure how it was going to do.
That's very true. Yeah. So that's certainly a critique. There's been some other critiques that are like, this is sucking the energy from other authors, which that one I don't really agree with, because that's sort of like the piracy argument with video games. It's like, they pirated it, that's lost sales. I'm like, but how many of them would have actually bought it otherwise, right? Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's really losing sales from other authors, if it's much more like, there are a lot of Brandon fans who are very passionate, clearly. We get to do an entire show that gets thousands of viewers, and they're very excited about Brandon books and Cosmere books, and I think it's more that other one. Brandon also said one goal with the Kickstarter was to make Hollywood pay attention. And like, the biggest Kickstarter from an author, like, that's really rare, because books... Like, again, books and authors themselves are like, they can be famous, but like, it's rare for them to be super famous, right? Like, there's Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, George R. Martin, but like, there's not like a lot of like ones where it's like, I recognize that face on the street all the time, right? It's not like an actor. So having an author get a Kickstarter like that, I bet Brandon's like, this will influence the strength of my negotiation. It's like, I bet it will, Brandon.
Yeah, and I know we know for sure that he's already looking at those things, because he's obliquely mentioned the movie stuff in weekly updates and the state of the Sanderson, and he's writing his own screenplay treatment for Mistborn and all these things. So he has very particular opinions about how some of these things should be done, aka the whole animation debate. And so this is going to give him more control over that for sure.
I love Joff's comment on that. Joff just says, I imagine it definitely gives you a lot of power with them when you can just say, look, guys, I can snap and my fans will throw $20 million at me in 2 days for new content that they trust. I'm like, Before they even saw anything about it, it's like, Brandon's stuff's generally good. All right, let's go. I do think it's good that he is showing off what the books are going to be about. And that they're like, these drafts are written. He's going to need to do some revisions. But that definitely raises the hype, because it's definitely a bit of a leap of faith that's like, will I like 4 Brandon books? And I don't know if we'll all like all 4 of them, but I imagine they'll be pretty fun. I don't know. Like, I'm usually not like, wow, that Brandon book was terrible. I'm like, yeah, that was fun. I'm glad I got to read it. And I've also seen a lot of discussion about like what it means for publishing in general. I don't know if we can generalize to any other author, because I think this more just means Brandon's fans are very excited. And I think what this means is Brandon can do whatever the hell he wants. Like, that statement, totally true. He can put out books in whatever form he wants and people will buy them. But
I was thinking about if anyone else could do this. I was thinking maybe like in her heyday, J.K. Rowling could have done this with Harry Potter content, but I don't know if she has that power these days.
Probably not, I would say. That's that. We don't need to get into a big topic about J.K. Rowling, but probably not anymore.
Yeah, it would make the headlines, but not for the reasons, you know.
It would still probably make millions of dollars, though, to be honest. But the thing is, Brandon dumps 4 books. It's like, what other author's like, I have 4 extra books? Like, you can't do the fun reveal like this. I don't know.
Yeah, and like I think part of what actually does affect publishing of all this is that Brandon is showing just how important it is to have a connection to your fans and making your fans trust you as a person, as an author, as well. His company also, Dragonsteel, because we know they produce really high quality products from the Way of Kings Kickstarter, from all the Leatherbound, all those things. Like showing that he has his power, like with his YouTube, the fact that it got to #1 on Shreddig is insane.
Yeah, it's insane.
And like all those things, I think that's the part that has a true effect on publishing, showing just how important having a connection to your fans is, and something, and like different ways of marketing things that isn't just the publisher, but you yourself finding other ways like to connect with your fans, the live streams, even his podcast. Well, back in the day, because not so much anymore, writing excuses, all those things contribute.
I totally agree. Like, if Brandon hadn't been doing these streams and like building up a consistent audience, like this would not, like, I'm sure it would have been successful. It wouldn't have been quite this successful. So it does sort of feel like, if you're a new author, like you want to be doing these sorts of things to have a connection with fans. And essentially you need to be a YouTuber as well. So have fun with that, authors. Production's really fun and not at all tedious. Any other thoughts on the news and things?
Title secrecy.
Oh, yeah. I think it's... I get that Brandon is like, I want you to be surprised and delighted and have no other context. But then he's like, but here, I'm going to give you all the context you need anyway if you want. Like, I get it that, like, it's for the fans who want that. I just don't think the title says anything, really. Like, does the title of Tress... It's just like, oh, okay, it's called this. Like, it's not like it's like, hey, this is Mistborn 8 here. Like, hey, there you go. Like, yeah, that would be a crazy title. But these are all going to be in New Worlds. So, like, whatever, right? I don't know.
Yeah. Like, realistically, just looking at the first one, which is the only title we know so far, we've got a girl sitting on a rock surrounded by a green sea, and then the title is Tress of the Emerald Sea.
Whoa.
Like, there is no more context there
shocked.
than covered.
Shocked. Really shocking.
The only thing where I think it might be worth it, like hiding the title, were if Secret Project 3 or Secret Project 4, especially the latter, Secret Project 4, because we know it has connections to other things in the Cosmere. Just inherently revealed something about what character it is, about what magic system it is. Like, we know now that this is the Aether book, but if one of the other ones was like Aether of Night, then maybe.
I guess that's true. That's true.
Like, if he did a title reveal and Secret Project 4 is like, it's the Silence Divine, it's like, all right, then that's
right. Sure.
You know that's a spoiler.
Yeah, that is fair. That is fair. I don't know if we're going to be able to not just say the name of the Secret Project for 9 months to the end of 2023. So I don't know if we're going to be able to keep that title secrecy. But look, I was tempted in my video to have a giant clickbait title, but then I got to the part in the video where Brandon's like, don't spoil the surprise. I'm like, okay, Brandon, fine. I won't do the giant clickbait title, even though it totally justifies. It's like, Brandon wrote 5 books. Like, that's a clickbait title that I can put in all caps. That's like, yeah, that's fair. that makes sense. Anyway, let's get into talking about Tress of the Emerald Sea. And, it's a Hoyd book.
So cool.
It's a Hoyd. It's a full-length Hoyd is telling a story, and I'm just like, I'm in. Yes. I'm so in. I'm so in. Like, I love Hoyd sass, as always.
I was thinking before we started recording how cool it would be, like, if he does do a blurb, how the Stormlight blurbs are in world, but it's like the blurb is like Hoyd being like, come, sit down, let me tell you a story.
Oh, that would be awesome! Oh!
I love that idea.
Oh my god, that's amazing! That's a great idea right there. I hope they do that. I can just tell reading these chapters that Brandon's like, this is he's trying to just do something fun and give it to his wife, right? Like, it definitely has those vibes of, like, I just want to do something different, and I have no doubt Brandon has great fun writing the Hoid telling stories in Stormlight.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, by the way, we're going to talk about other Cosmere stuff. I forgot to mention that, but there's going to be Cosmere stuff here. I don't think heavy Stormlight or Mistborn spoilers or anything, but there's going to be some stuff about Aether of Night, but we're going to have a separate section for that. I think so.
Also, because I think I'm the only one on this cast who's read Aether of Night, but
honestly, I have too much to read of Brandon's stuff. Thanks a lot, Brandon. That, like, I don't have time to read his unpublished stuff. Like, no joke. But I just love the conceit that it's Hoid telling the story, and Brandon, like, even written in there, it's like, and yes, that's me. I'm Hoid. I don't know why Hoid's the cabin boy? A boy in this story? Like, he said that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he did say that. Like, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, that's a rank, not, like, indicator of, like, age. It doesn't have to mean that he's, like, a 15-year-old. Cabin boy is, like...
Oh. Yeah, just like a ship term.
A servant. Yeah, it's like a servant on a ship that takes care of various, like, odds and ends.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that Hoid is looking like a 15-year-old.
That's like, just boy. I'm like, was this like... It's like... Did, like, Hoid just go from Yola and is like, I'm here now, what's up? Like, that just seemed a little weird.
It's a specific position on a ship, like someone who's...
Got it.
Like an assistant.
Sure.
Like a maid, but on a ship.
Sure, got it.
Yeah.
Brandon did say at the bottom that he is telling an actual event. It's not, he's not making it up. I don't think Dog and the Dragon is... like an actual thing that actually happened. Like, this is an actual story that's actually in the Cosmere that Hoid's embellishing a bit.
You say that now, and then we're gonna, like, meet a dragon in the future of the Cosmere who, like, tells the Dog and the Dragon from his perspective.
Dude, I mean, that is true. There are dragons in the Cosmere. Sure. That I would be into that. What if the dragon's Frost? Whoa, we're just going on the rabbit hole of Nonsenseville here.
Just wait 10 years from now till we go to a planet with talking dogs.
Yeah, and, like, sure, this is canon. That's is Gadriel. Not something Hoid is making up, but also how much of an aspect of an unreliable narrator is there here? Because it's also Hoid who we're talking about.
Well, I mean, Brandon does say there's a few liberties, but you know what? For the Coppermind, we're just gonna. Tress is a person. Sure. This is what happened, and we're not gonna speculate there.
I almost suspect or wonder how much of the liberties are going to kind of get called out by Hoid, like, within the narrative.
That's true. That's true. I wonder if the embellishment is just Hoid. Like, I do not think Hoid has mind-reading powers, and because does not actually know exactly what Tress was feeling, right? And so I think he's probably embellishing that. You know? I mean, maybe he has mind-reading powers, but I think mind-reading powers would be very overpowered in the Cosmere. Like, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
And also, like, with that mind-reading thing, in researching for my extended essay, which was on POV, voice, etc.
Oh, so this is right your jam.
Yes, I love analyzing this. It's, like,
perfect.
My favorite thing. I forget which author because I have everything confused in my mind now.
Yeah.
Said that the unreliable narrator was used to highlight the difference between, like, to reveal the gap between appearance and reality, which is definitely something that extrapolating someone's thoughts. Also, Hoid knows people really well. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. I think that's probably the way the unreliable narrators used here.
And read them well. Yeah, I think so. I love the fairy tale vibe, though. And that's exactly what Brandon was going for. And it really worked for me. And it's refreshing to have a different voice and style in the Cosmere. That's just nice. I like the change of pace. It doesn't all need to be the same, and the Cosmere is a rich universe that can have all sorts of stories. So I fell in love instantly. Like, this is so good. Helps that the chapters were short as well. Very short.
Also, probably why there are 5 of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it has to put all 5. Yeah. Yeah, Ala?
Yeah, I just feel like I guess I'm gonna be this.
Okay.
The one.
Sure, let's go. You're probably not alone. That's the thing.
I guess it's my thing on the Shardcast now. I'm the negative one.
Okay. That's okay.
Because I will say that the writing didn't quite work for me. Like I love the world building just to the start. I love the world. I am intrigued by the premise and like give me the dangerous sorceress that lives under the black moon. Mm-hmm, that's exciting.
The Midnight Sea.
But I don't know if this is the writing style or just not my thing in terms of characters, but I did find those first 4 of those chapters really dragging on, partially because of those like extended, Hoyt going off on a tangent about like how Tress's hair is supposedly blonde, but not actually, or how like she's not like the other girls by being like the other girls, which actually makes her not like the other girls.
I dug that personally. Like I think it's a really good character introduction. I think
it kind of missed the mark for me. So
okay,
yeah, it's a specific writing style, and I hope it grows on me in the future. But for now, it feels a bit too prone to just wandering off on a tangent.
Sure.
Yeah, and there are several like anecdotal books like that. Though the first one that comes to my mind, honestly, and because I know some of my friends have mentioned others, is El Olvido que Seremos by Hector Lindsay, and I've just been reading that for school. And it's basically him just like honoring his father's life and what his father did. And it's just super anecdotal. It sounds like he's telling you the story, which is exactly what Brandon wanted to do here. And for some reason, I like Tress's style far more than that one. I don't know why, but it's basically the same thing. And I know it rubs a lot of people like the wrong way because it doesn't feel like enough story is happening, and it's more just like an anecdote. I don't know how to explain it because that wasn't my feeling, but
I get it.
It's a very, very different style.
Ella, do you think part of the problem is that it's very telly and not very showy, like on the show don't tell sort of scale?
Maybe, but I also feel like the pacing feels a bit slow because what happens in those
it's slow. Yes, it is.
Yeah, what happens in those first 4 chapters? We get introduced to Tress, who goes to meet with Charlie. They talk about stuff and realize they are in love with each other,
which was adorable. I gotta say, that was. I thought, like when he was like, "You're like a glove to me," I'm like, "Oh, that's what Tress thinks about him. It's so cute." I was in. Like the second chapter with Charlie, I'm like, whatever. But like, I dug it. Please continue. Sorry.
Okay, so they confess to each other being the gloves of each other's, and then his father sends him out to sea, and then in chapter 5, everything the actual plot setup actually happens. So it feels like we are spending 4 chapters just to set up that there's a guy, she really likes him, he gets sent out.
Yes, but like if that's the premise of the book, like I think you do need to like be somewhat invested in Tress finding Charlie, and like it's just difficult to cut it down more, I think. I know. I find it slow paced. It is slow paced, no doubt.
Yeah. And I know it's going to be blasphemy, but I just didn't quite connect with the characters as much. Yeah. But yeah.
I think for me, I don't know how much of our audience knows this, but I'm very much a reader of like fairy tales and fairy tale inspired stories.
Yes, she really is. Yeah. No joke. Yes.
And I mean, you did an episode with Jess on her channel about that, which was a great episode.
And so this style of introducing the story through almost this outside perspective who is telling the events of like the background of this setup is something I am a little bit more familiar with because it is something I have read in that sort of style before. Sure. This to me felt like obviously the Hoyd interjections and stuff. It was a little bit more of like the narrator being a little bit more sassy than I normally read in this type of things, which I did enjoy.
Shocking, Hoyd being sassy. Hoyd. Never.
but that setup of like this first chapter, the first few chapters, is like this person being like, there were once upon a time there were these kings who were at war who had these fell in love and had children, and the children was like one was a boy, one was a girl, and it's like that kind of setup where it is very telly, very like this traditional storytelling style of writing before you go into the main plot is something I was more familiar with, and so I kind of got hooked on that more quickly.
Yeah, and Brandon does say the fairy tale vibe fades a little, but not completely, into an epic fantasy, and it's still, you know, going to be filtered through prose and voice of a storyteller sitting down to tell about one of his adventures. That's what Brandon said about it. So I'm not sure how representative this will be of the whole. Like, I'm sure Hoyd will still be sassy. I imagine there will probably be less digressions once we get the plot kicking into gear and we're exploring this world and stuff, and we actually get into the meat of things. That would be my assumption, at least. And so I feel like I can very much see that someone reads this and it's like, there's not a lot of plot here. And I'm usually a plot person, so I see that there.
So yeah, I will admit that for now the preview has left me feeling very lukewarm. But I do see, like, with chapter 5, I do see that there is something I might actually be interested in the future. So I am open to changing my mind when I get my hands on the full book a year from now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I think the advantage of Brandon putting these all out in 2023, all the secret projects, is that Brandon said they're going to feel very different from each other. So if you don't like one, you'll probably like the other ones better, right? Like, because it's not like all four are like this, right? Like, it's just...
Oh, yeah. But they all seem to be very experimental, from what I understand. Yeah. So I am very excited for that. I just... From the first sentence, I was like, this is a different voice.
This is a very different
exciting
vibe than I'm used to, Brandon.
It was a bit like Kingmaker, where Kingmaker, I also immediately tuned on to, this is a very different voice. That was like a second person omniscient. It was a very weird omniscient voice of Kingmaker.
Honestly, I did not listen to that Kingmaker thing that Brandon did at the Cytonic release. I didn't listen to it at all.
Yeah, it was also a very strange one, and I think it's so fascinating to see an author experimenting with voices that are so different. Because one thing is making a character voice, like when you have a large cast of characters different from each other, but it all being like third person limited or first person. Like, well, Robert Jordan was a master of that. But another thing is just playing with different types of voice and making them all distinct and different and serve a purpose in the narrative. Definitely Glenn Cook for that. I mean, not only the characters and the character voices themselves were very different, but playing with first person and third person in the Black Company and like the unreliable narrator was something I loved reading that whole series. And now also that I've been reading The Acts of Cain so we're like going from first person to third person to second person, and each type has a specific purpose within the narrative. It's really interesting. And so I love Brandon getting more experimental like this rather than his just normal third person limited or first person, which he tends to use for YA. So this just made me really happy. Like, I know for sure I am going to learn a lot about writing from reading this.
Yeah, I'm sure Brandon learned a lot about writing from writing it, honestly. Really. Let's talk about characters and Grace, why don't you just go on about Tress?
I mean, obviously, I immediately liked Tress in part because she, like, the description looked like me. Like, I'm not gonna deny that.
Yep.
I thought her interactions with Charlie were very cute. That sort of like I see through your facade of like the Duke's son pretending to be normal and kind of calling him out on it, but also just kind of letting him enjoy the lie because she knows like it's important to him.
But it's like, what? You're the Duke's son? I never would have guessed. They're both named Charlie and are the same age. That's crazy, Charlie. Yeah, and I liked Tress's character as well. Like, we get a lot of larger-than-life heroes in the Cosmere, so it's nice to have sort of the... I guess it's a fairy tale vibe of the ordinary person going on an adventure, right? Like, it's a nice change of pace, I think. So I dug it.
Yeah, she really does have a lot of that, like, fairy tale heroine vibe of, you know, hardworking. She, you know, takes care of the family's money and makes sure to spend it in like a frugal way. But she, you know, collects cups from far off places.
You gotta have the heroine quirk, right?
Them.
You know,
yeah.
You gotta have the quirk. At least it's not that she's clumsy, so it's like she collects cups. Like that's good.
I will say that to me, Tress read very like stock YA girl protagonist, which
it's probably because it's very tropey.
Yeah, and I think that's a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just not... Okay, I don't want to, like, say, like, you're actually wrong for liking, because, you know, it's a difference of tastes, and, like, something works for some people or something for others, but, yeah, like I mentioned before, I completely failed to, like... Maybe not completely, but I really, like, failed to connect to Tress.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, I can't really tell you anything... She's supposedly ordinary, but she's actually not. She's supposedly pragmatic, but we never really see it. We are told about it, but you know, she doesn't really do the pragmatic thing. She instead goes on an adventure, which, you know, that's a good thing. We wouldn't have the book otherwise.
I like how she's not impulsive. Like, she does think through what she's going to do, which I really like. I mean, it is definitely like the traditional call to action type thing where it's like, I gotta go do a thing. But like, it's not like she'd been thinking about Charlie for a really long time and like seeing how this changed. I did like the reversal that it wasn't Charlie who came back, the heir. I quite enjoyed that. It's like, wait, you're not Charlie, and so it's like, ooh, what happened to Charlie? And so now we're getting some.
And also, that scene had a great line of the jaw so straight that they made Adam question if they were.
That's right. That's right. That's the sort of line that I love that Brandon is putting lines like that. Like I love it.
Yeah, and I just went back and like, because I read the thing before the video was up, but I went and just to go listen to that line specifically. And he says it with such a straight face.
I mean, I'm sure as an author, you just need to get used to just narrating with like a total straight face, you know, if you're reading 5 chapters, like, yeah.
Yeah. For me, that was the moment when the book like got good, when the ship came back and it was someone who isn't Charlie aboard.
Oh, I totally agree with that as well, by the way. Like, that's definitely where it's like, ooh, now I'm interested. Whereas, like, before, I was just having fun. I was like, yeah, okay, that's good. I think Tress and Charlie are cute. Whereas, like, clearly the earlier chapters didn't work for you as well. So, that's fine.
Yeah.
I like that Tress thinks about what she's doing, and she doesn't, like, let emotion, like, dominate the whole thing. Even though, like, yes, she is going out there for love. But she's not, like, being idiot protagonist about it, you know?
Yes,
like,
that's good.
Like that's nice, you know? Because I feel like other stories, it would be, I have the idiot ball and I need to go out there and save this person. Like, Tress, I think, would plan how to get through these things and figure out a way to do that. And so I think we'll see the pragmaticness later.
Yeah, she makes like a effort to go and talk to people and to learn the full story of what actually happened to Charlie before even like blaming him or making any decisions.
Ooh. That is definitely different from many Disney movies. That's for sure. It's like, what? You didn't send me a cup? Unacceptable. You're dead to me. It's like, Tress is like, no, he wouldn't do that to me. And it's like, he didn't. And so it's like, wow, thank you for not jumping to conclusions. That's great. And it's like, no, he literally couldn't send the last cup and he tried. So there you go. Yeah, I'm excited for the plot. I mean, clearly there's a lot of world to explore, so I mean, clearly we're going to do some traveling through some crazy locations here, so I'm excited.
Yeah, that is one thing that I picked up on from these chapters that seemed very different from Brandon's normal books. Brandon doesn't write travel books.
No, he doesn't. He never does.
No. These characters are in a city for the entire time.
And then we teleport to the other city.
Yeah, like... But this book from these first chapters felt like it was going to be like a sort of adventurous hero's journey type thing. It kind of reminded me of the Odyssey a bit. That sort of like the heroine travels the seas, and I mean, obviously I could be off because it's just these first chapters, but like the heroine travels across the seas and comes across the different trials that she has to overcome in order to get back and to her love.
Yeah.
That sounds like exactly what's going to happen in this book. And like the last trial is going to be the sorceress, right? Like, isn't that's just the plot? Like, I imagine many interesting things are going to happen there, but like, what else? That's the plot. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, I do a part of me kind of hopes that rather than the sorceress being the last trial, she's like the first. Like we go out to find the sorceress, and surprise, we actually find her in the first place we're looking. And then something changes, because the story is supposed to go more epic fantasy. So unless the sorceress is doing something really, very weird, then... I know, I guess I'm just really excited about the sorceress, and I want to meet her as soon as possible.
Right, sure. That is fair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Brandon, so it's gonna be like,
exactly.
The sorceress is evil, and then we get there, and she's actually not that bad, and then the three of them with
Let
Charlie
me tell you about my magic system.
And the sorceress have to like team up and learn about the Aether magic and fight the king who sent place or something.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's not gonna happen like at the end. It's gonna happen like 20% in, knowing Brandon. I mean, the fact that he's pulled so many things like the Everstorm on us like so early on in a series, it's like it's not gonna be close to the end.
I do feel like they name dropped 2 other seas, and so I think like because the sorceress was in the Midnight Sea, so I feel like we're gonna go to like the Crimson Sea and we're gonna explore that. Then we're going to see the Midnight Sea in the sorceress. So like I could see that being like halfway mark, but I don't think that's gonna be first. Like I definitely don't think that's gonna be first. I think we're gonna learn more about the spores and like the Crimson Sea and what that means, right? Before we go on to the Midnight Sea and meet the sorceress.
Yeah, it's just not gonna be the end, knowing Brandon. Especially because in the video announcing this whole thing, he said, if there's one thing you can expect from me, it's a good twist ending.
I guess that's true. Although I think that was in the context of like, ooh, I've pulled one over you. I've written...
I mean, yeah,
not one book, but
it wouldn't surprise me.
Do you want to talk about world?
Sure.
Yeah, there's a lot to discuss here.
There's a lot going on this planet, that's for sure. Not a lot of magic, but a lot of setting stuff. Like Tress doesn't have magic, right? And there's no indication that anyone on the
has magic.
Yeah. I mean, clearly the sorceress would, but hey.
Yeah, whatever the Aethers do, because we have no idea.
Right, because Brandon's like, hey, we're working in the Aethers here, right? So, yeah.
I was very confused about the world building.
Oh, yeah?
So at first I thought that it was like oceans, and the spores were like falling into the oceans and just mixing in with the water, and that's why it was colored. And I was like, oh yeah, of course it's dangerous. Like if the spores are dangerous when they touch water and they're literally like mixing with the water, obviously these seas are dangerous. And then I kind of realized like, oh wait, no, that's not like it's just pure dust, the seas.
It did help that I saw fan art of the Dust Sea, and so before I read this, and so I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But like, yeah, I could see the confusion.
And then another thing that confused me was I didn't pick up that the spores were falling from the moons. I thought it was like the spores were just on the planet, and like the Lumigree was the place where the moon was like closest to the Earth, and it was causing like gravitational things to like pull the dust up into the sky.
Definitely. I mean, it is close. So close that it's pulling. Like, there are gravity shenanigans, but it's the spores coming down there. Yeah. I don't want to really think about the astronomy too much. Like, it's gonna just be like Aether or some shard did it, and just like, okay, cool, whatever.
Rasarr and its 3 wounds are problematic enough astronomy-wise, and we're not even talking about Taldane here, which is also problematic astronomy-wise.
See, in the White Sand Omnibus,
this is insanity.
Maybe.
Yeah, just there are no moons in Cosmere that make sense.
Yep.
What are moons? I mean,
says the Scadrian.
Apparently in this case the moons are pieces of ether, or like ethers themselves that rain magic dust on the planet.
Yeah.
And may not have some sort of mind to them. Because there is a word of Brandon when he mentions...
that Rob.
I don't remember it like verbatim, but
is it the core ether one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that there are. When asked about what the oldest like beings in the Cosmere are, he mentions Hoid. He mentions the dragons like Frost, and he says that, and he mentions the core ethers.
Yes. He says you could argue that the core ethers, the actual core ethers, are as ancient and potentially powerful.
Okay.
Oh my god, what does that mean?
I'll tell you one thing that this clears up a lot of is that you know how over like the last while Brandon's been doing like Aether stuff, and it's like it's because you wrote this book, Brandon. Like, no crap. You can always tell when Brandon's like, I figured out a thing, which I guess should have been very obvious that it's like, I wrote a book about this. Like, okay, Brandon.
Yeah, before we got the preview chapters, I could have sworn that was going to be Secrets Project 3, but sure.
Yeah, well, it's this one, I guess.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were predicting 3 for Aethers from what I saw.
I think even you did on the emergency Shardcast, like because of the colors or something on the cover.
But there was an interesting question. It's like, how does the water cycle work on this planet? I'm like, I guess dangerously, I guess. But I'm here to just chalk it up to like, Aether wanted it this way.
Yep.
Because
I'm good with that.
Aether had a hard-on for making weird stuff. So I was like, okay, let's do this.
We know they have groundwater.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Other Cosmere stuff. Obviously Hoid, but then we just have an Eerie reference. It's just an Eerie reference. God. It's like, this is one of the lands that man, and we had to protect the Eerie page on the Coppermind because you can't put pre-release stuff on the Coppermind. No spoilers. Awesome. This is one of those things that I'm like, I'm so happy we're going to other worlds because I want to see these other worlds in the Cosmere, and I want to see the crazy loony stuff. I love Scadrial and Rasarr, but I don't only want to be there.
Yeah.
I want to learn about the other shards. I want to learn about like what potential other elements we could get when we get to space era. All those things are a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, I wonder if the Iriali are going to be like the common thread in the 3 Cosmere books. Like every world we go to, there's just a random reference to, oh yeah, there used to be these people called Iriali here, but now they're gone.
I'm fine with that. Fun. I mean, I'm fine with that, especially because we have the story where the Iriali currently are, right? Like, so we're kind of getting that history. So I'm totally cool with that. That sounds great.
Yeah.
And it also gives us some like timeline of where Tress could possibly be taking place, which is to say a really, really long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, the Iriali would have been even further back than where Tress is, but I did sort of get earlier Cosmere vibes, for sure.
The Iriali were 300 years before Tress. And they've been on Rasarr since, like, the Desolations.
Since the Silver Kingdoms, right? Like, they've been there for ages, Yeah.
So
I would have to do, like, a timeline, but I think, this is pretty early Cosmere.
Yeah, it might be, like, before Elantris.
That's true. I'm trying to remember like what is Rasarr the 5th land?
fourth land.
The fourth land. Okay.
So I don't know if Tress would be like before or after White Sand, but
yeah,
I feel pretty safe guessing it's before Elantris.
Yeah.
I want a hard timeline on these. I know it's probably not going to happen, but it would be fun to like be able to actually place these.
I'm sure there is a timeline that Karen has somewhere, and that the Iriali are in there. So Brandon was saying on the stream that all except Secret Project 4 would be fine entry points into the Cosmere. And I mean, we just kind of have like Hoyd's a storyteller. Like, I guess that doesn't really require extra Cosmere knowledge, and the Iriali stuff doesn't. They're the people. Okay, whatever. So I guess that's fine for now on this. What do you guys think of that?
Yeah. And I think that like those references, like they are more overt than something like way back in Elantris or Warbreaker. Well, Warbreaker is a special case, but Mistborn. But other people without the context wouldn't catch it anyway, and they'd notice later, like when they get to Stormlight, for example, or mostly Stormlight.
Yeah,
but it was definitely fun, like on the other side of things, just like seeing people wake up and read this, notice it was up, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, the Uriali and the Hoyd and everything." It was so
that's fun of Cosmere stuff, right?
Yeah, I hope the rest of the preview chapters also go up early. So,
I mean, I think they're all going to come up the same times, right? I imagine they have it scheduled because Brandon's sure not up that early. Let me tell you. Yeah. He's I wake up at 12 or 1 in the afternoon type guy. It could be an interesting entry point for a reader like you, Grace. Like if you hadn't read the Cosmere, like this would be like, this is tailor-made for you specifically. Welcome to the Cosmere type thing, right?
Yeah. The one question I have is if the voice is so different from his normal stuff, is someone who really loves this going to try to like pick up, say, Mistborn next and just be turned off because it's like, oh, I thought this would be written more like Tress was.
Yeah, it's like kind of a bad promise in a sense, right? That's like, oh yeah, this is what the Cosmere is like. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, it's a good entry point in the sense that you don't really have to know anything else about Cosmere to enjoy this. But it's not the best when it comes to getting the sense of how Brandon writes most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Unless Stormlight 5 is going to be written completely differently than we
It's all just talking about what happened. Sure. Oh man, I would hate that. Brandon would not do that. But yeah, and the other advantage is, by the way, these books are going to be more like Era 2 length. So the 3 Cosmeres are about 100,000 words. So like Mistborn 1 is 200,000 words. And Era 2 books, except Lost Metal's longer, are about 100,000 words. So like in that sense, a shorter book could be an interesting intro point. But yeah, if the voices are all crazy and different from what Brandon's usual is, then maybe that's
and I'm wondering if Secret Project 3, which it'd have to... What do we know about Secret Project 3?
Basically nothing.
Yeah.
In terms of like voice, because we know that, well, Secret Project 4 doesn't even like factor into all this because it needs Cosmere knowledge.
Yeah.
But if Secret Project 3 is more normal in terms of voice and it's just the setting weirdness, then maybe it might be a better starting point.
Did you say 1 was first person? That might be the non-Cosmere. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's we don't know. Cosmere. Well, we'll find out. We'll let you know. Stay tuned on the channel. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell where you can hit see for new Shardcast content.
Yeah,
there you go.
You'll probably know if the second book is first person faster than you watch this podcast.
Well, that's no fun when you put it like that. But realistically, they should probably read the thing before they listen to the show, admittedly, yes.
Yeah, so while we are speaking about Cosmere connections, I do have a theory about Cosmere connections that we have not spoken about yet. What if I told you that Tress is a prequel to Shadows for Silence in the Forests of Hell?
What? Oh! Wait, what? Please explain, elaborate.
Okay, let me start with this, because the thing that caught my attention is the name Charlie. Because we have we have two worlds with like explicitly like English naming schemes.
Yeah, right.
Which is Tress's world, or George, as some on Discord have come to call it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I hope we get a name for the world, and it's not just Tress's world. I will say.
And Frenody. And we also know that on Frenody, shades are banished by silver, which also works on the spores.
That's true. There is silver.
Yes.
Silver is important here. That's true. I'm glad you brought that up.
And we know that Frenodites have run away from some evil on another continent across the sea. Now, let me get my conspiracy theory started, because this was just the basics.
Oh, okay. All right, let's go. Let's jump in.
The thing that caught my attention when I was thinking about the world building is that the moons are constantly raining pollen.
Yes.
So, which means that either this pollen somehow vanishes from the system, or the ocean levels are constantly rising on the planet. Which means that sooner or later, those islands that Tress now lives in might have once been mountain peaks.
Oh, yeah, okay. Right, yep.
Which means that the system that currently exists is fundamentally unstable. And sooner or later...
Sense of 12 moons.
Yeah, aside from like the astronomical instability, eventually this entire planet might just turn into one ball of pollen, which means that because the pollen is so deadly to humans, they will have to eventually leave.
Oh, okay. See, I thought you were gonna say that the conflict between Odium and Bishan destroyed all the moons, like that. That's where I thought you were gonna go with that.
Yeah.
But all the humans there needing to leave and go to Threnody, that works too.
I was gonna be like, I'm gonna have to start going through shadows and see if they ever explicitly say that the seas there are water.
Oh my God.
That's true. That's true.
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay,
with my
all
conspiracy.
right, great.
So my theory, as is like this. So the pollen rises. So the people of Tress's world eventually have to leave, and they go through cognitive realm, eventually wind up on Frenody.
Yep.
But they accidentally bring something with them, some ether. Obviously, without the moons, without the moons to like keep adding to that ether, it's basically it's just there. It's not a problem. But then what happens? 2 shards roll into Frenodite system and end up in a fight, and a whole lot of investiture gets thrown around.
3 shards. Because
3 shards, right.
Right, 3.
Automatic was there too.
That's true.
So a whole lot of power gets thrown around, and it does something to the ether, like activates it or mutates it.
And that makes the evil?
Yeah, and that creates the evil. So the people of Frenody flee across the ocean, which, if it's like our oceans, it's probably salty. And salt is the other thing that we know kills the pollen.
So it wouldn't be in the forest. It wouldn't be in the forest.
So they flee across the oceans because the evil, being ether, can't cross the oceans. And that's how we end up on 2 planets, with 2 planets in Cosmere that have English naming schemes.
I dig it. Also, this is good. Okay. This is good.
Yeah, going into Aether of Night canon, which isn't published, you can find it on the Shard and request it if you want to read it. I know lots of people
Link in the description. I'll put a thing on screen if you want to skip uncanonical stuff, because I do think the Aether stuff is... I'm going to say Aether, because Brandon says Aether. I know, historically they say Ether, but, Brandon says Aether, and I think it sounds better saying Aether, so I'm going to say that.
It doesn't matter. This isn't aeonic debating of pronunciations.
People have feels about the Aether pronunciation, but regardless, I expect Aether stuff's different, but certainly we can get something out of it. And you've actually read Aether of Night, so please explain.
Yeah. So I read Aether of Night shortly after finishing The Wheel of Time. During that point where I was like, I'm not sure what else to read, as expected with The Wheel of Time. And so that's when I read Aether. And so there's this super mysterious Aether that they didn't know was an actual thing. And it's a huge plot point, but it's also very confusing because the original Aether of Night has proto-ruin and proto-preservation.
It's bonkers. I did know this, and I'm like, I don't know how. Why would I read this? There's no like actual world building. Yeah, like, okay, sure.
But there's this Aether called Midnight or Night, which the Midnight Sea.
Yeah, right.
Here. That one and its counterpart, the Luminous, have to do with like transportation, and it's very strange. Right. And I read this a couple of years ago, so I'm not sure how to explain it. Ask Putty on the Discord. Putty knows.
Yeah, he'll know.
But there's just some weirdness about Midnight and Luminous that for me clicked with what Rasarr was saying of like the way they could have mutated on when they move to Threnody, if that's the one they take with them, and how that it might have to do a lot with the weirdness and Threnody. Like not the shades, because that's a whole other thing, but that Aether in particular just clicked with the world of Threnody for me. I'm not sure how to explain it, again, because it's been a while since I've read this.
One thing I did know is that Verdant is an Aether, right?
Yes, like, Verdant is an Aether, and that's what tipped me off as to, well, this is Aether world.
Yeah. I will say, slight complaint. If it's called the Verdant Sea, why is Emerald Sea in the title? Just saying.
Yeah.
I know it's more evocative, but shouldn't it be Tress of the Verdant Sea?
So I
yes,
talking about Allah's theory, I did remember that there is a wob from Page Runner from JordanCon where he had the star chart and he asked Brandon to mark a planet on the chart that people did not know about, and the planet that Brandon marked was Here There Be Aethers.
I bet it's this place.
When you look, we don't know for sure that it's the same planet as Tress, but we can assume that it is. It's when you actually look at the map, the Aether planet and the Threnody are like as far apart from each other on the star chart as you can get.
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, does that really matter in the cognitive realm? Like, kind of, maybe a bit, but I did have a crackpot idea that maybe the spore level rising, that's a great way to say. Like, maybe was a motivation for the Iriali to leave this planet, right? Like, I would totally buy that. It's just like, if you have a few cities that are on the coast that get overrun by rising spore levels, right? Then, yeah, you're going to get the hell out of there, right? But there's still going to be some of your crap still around. I don't know.
Or maybe this is what the book will be about, like preventing
global warming.
Oh my god!
Global sporing. That's true. That's plausible. We don't really know much about Aethers in the canonical sense, though, right?
No.
I think the only like canon mention that was like explicit was in Oathbringer when Reyes got some of it.
Yeah,
and that's an Amberite Aether.
Which is kind of
we haven't seen that here.
As someone who has only read this and Oathbringer and like the Aether wobs, which don't really add much, like the stain on his shirt and these like dust spores, I would not have made the connection that those are potentially the same thing.
But also, Amberite is a different Aether than Verdant, and they work very differently, at least in Aether of Night, so maybe that's why?
Like, from my impression purely on these sample chapters, it seems like Aethers are spore dust things. Like, it seems like all of the seas were like that. And so it just seems odd. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's also, like, there is like a bit of a sign that Brandon might not have had the whole idea of Aethers down pat when he wrote that Oathbringer bit, because the context in which we learn about Aethers in Oathbringer is there's the washerwoman who is trying to wash, Aether out of his trousers, and you usually wash stuff with water. So if
that's true, And it was difficult to get out? Like, what does that mean?
I'm gonna have to look and see what material she used to get it out again. If it's some other like non-water soluble material that ended up being the thing that like was successful in getting it out.
Yeah. I opened my copy of Aether and I'm looking for Night because like I knew there was some weirdness, and the first thing I found that it's related to like this thing that's called the Pool of the Forgotten, aka Proto Shard Pool.
Okay, great, cool, awesome.
It's so confusing. Oh my god. But their souls melt and become the living night, the darkness that makes up the Pool of the Forgotten. So that definitely gives me Threnody and Shade vibes.
That's true. But how much of that is
related
canon?
To the weirdness? Well, yeah, first.
Yeah.
But that also might be related to the weirdness regarding like shard pools and like world hopping on Threnody.
Because there is
question
weirdness.
Mark.
Because there's we know not a stable perpendicularity there, right?
Yeah, and that it's somehow related to the shades, unless that's just speculation and I'm mistaking it as canon.
We gotta do a Threnody podcast sometime, but maybe in 2023 after these, I guess. Sure, why not? We'll have plenty to do until then. Stupid Brandon ruining my March Shardcast plans, and having to delay Rhythm of War episodes that we still need to do with new content. What a jerk. Just kidding. So I love it, but and you guys love it too. All you listeners, you love it because my announcement video and the emergency Shardcast got absurd analytics. Absurd. So that's pretty great. All I know about Aethers is that I imagine this book we're going to learn a lot about Aethers in the canonical sense, and that in itself is nice.
Yeah, that's definitely gonna help.
There's no way we're not going to learn a ton about them, right?
Yeah. I am admittedly very excited to see Brandon try and do his like science Aether info dump in the Hoid storytelling style.
That will actually be really entertaining, right? Yeah. It will be very different from Vasher info dumping, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, now I really want that.
This night thing sounds like Proto Ruin, just like searching, like.
Because like, are there spores? Manuscript? Are there spores in the original Aether of Night? Because
okay,
I've heard some things, and I don't think there are spores. Would I be correct in that?
As I recall, and I admit I only read fragments, the original like Aethers were like crystal that you like embedded into your skin to command.
Yeah, as like in Amberite in particular is very like crystalline, but verdant as well. It's like this thing that you put in your hand and you made like a connection with, and some were strong and some weren't. Yeah, it's a straight magic system.
And none of that's canonical in the slightest, so it's totally different now, presumably.
Yeah.
You guys are really going to be confused with Dragonsteel Prime. Also coming out in 2023, by the way, because the cosmology doesn't make any sense. Yeah, because it's coming out with the Way of Kings, or the Words of Radiance Kickstarter. Because it's not just 4 books coming out in 2023, it's like 8.
Just searching through this, Night sounds like a very proto-ruin thing, so...
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's gonna be confusing.
Yeah.
But I know I'm definitely gonna reread this version before Chess comes out. So that I can like have the differences clearer.
Yeah, we might need to just make an episode after Tress comes out that's just on Aethers, right? And like we'll talk about what was in Tress, we'll talk about what was in the unpublished one. I don't know. We'll need to see. But I think we'll be able to do that. I don't know. Do any of you have any other final thoughts on things? All I'll say is I really liked the voice, and I'm very excited to see more. And apparently Hoid is actually talking to someone.
Do we want to speculate about who that is? Or
I mean, can we even speculate on that? Because I have no idea, right?
Yeah, me neither.
No.
I've seen people guess Sigil. I've seen people guess design. Who else?
Vivenna. I know. I saw some people guess Vivenna.
It's not going to be design.
My favorite theory is that it is a random, like, crab.
It's a sleepless.
A random sleepless.
A random sleepless. Yeah. What? Oh. All right. Here you go, guys. What if one of the sea is a giant bug swarm?
Oh my god.
Oh, that is
Nice. Easy.
The Aether of Bug.
Aether of bugs.
Oh my god.
You're welcome. Make some fan art of that. Maybe not.
Look, the fan art that we commissioned of Nickley was terrifying enough. Imagine a whole sea of that.
Yeah. And when you expose it to water, they explode. That's fun.
Yeah. Do we want to speculate about other types of ethers, or is that kind of just basically me talking from what I know from Aether of Night?
I think it's you talking from Aether of Night.
Yeah, I think it's probably you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that, I mean, Verdant, like, the word tipped me off, and it is similar, except for the whole spores thing rather than the crystal thing and the fact that they use it for magic in Aether of Night. But it is similar that it, like, starts with, like, growing vines and things, so.
Sure.
I did want to note that.
I did go through all the Aether wobs because I did not make the connection, and would not have made the connection without Brandon saying anything, so I was like, do we know enough that someone who hadn't read Aether could have been tipped off? And what I got was that the number 12 is important to the Aether Shard world,
right?
Which was probably the big thing. And then I also found a lot of, like, Brandon saying that one of his biggest problems with Aether was that it was a like romantic comedy plot entwined with this like weird shard plot with like proto-ruin and preservation, and it didn't really mesh well. So I was like, okay, I can kind of see how, like, taking the shard stuff out and just focusing in on the romantic comedy, you could be left with something like Tress.
And like still have the Aether stuff in the background, but it's not like Hero of Ages level shard stuff. Yeah, maybe that wouldn't quite work super great.
Look, the shard stuff in Aether was super confusing. Oh my god,
Yeah. Sometimes with the more Cosmere knowledge, you're just like, I don't even know what this is. But yeah, I don't know about you. I'm pretty excited for Tress. I'm pretty excited for all of these. It seems like these will all be different and cool. And I can see how Brandon wrote this as sort of a gift to Emily, because this is a very different, just sort of fun story. And so I'm glad he didn't travel as much and was able to write these fun things. Like, that's really cool, I think.
Yeah. And also, I think that, I mean, he's definitely gotten better at writing romance, because this in just the first few chapters was really cute and very different from other things.
That's true. It's pretty well done, but I felt.
I'm wondering if part of that might have been just collaborating with Jancy last year on the novellas, even if he didn't do much on those. Yeah. But Jancy's a romance writer, so...
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think I feel like the style of this helps. I think it helps because, like, you're sort of having a storyteller tell the romance, and so it sort of gets to skirt around Brandon being in that person's POV and maybe doing that poorly. Like, you can just have the storyteller tell the better version of it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've even already seen a lot of, like, some Tress fan art come out, and I
pretty great.
Love it, and I am
pretty great.
Very excited to see more.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff. Cool. Well, I think that's about it for this one. Again, we have not seen the stream where Brandon talks about Tress, so you probably have, but we haven't. And if there's anything super cool, then we will talk about it in the next week. But we will be doing weekly shows. And I'll try not to die, but maybe it will be slightly longer than weekly if the scheduling doesn't work. But the plan is to do weekly shows on these. That won't be 3 hours long. That would also be preferable. So I think it's time to go on to Who's That Cosmere Character?
This character is from Rasarr.
Menace. Tien.
Tom.
Braze.
Void in drag on a horse.
It's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? Caw.
Alright everyone, it's time for Who's That Cosmere Character, the game show where you, the audience, sends 5 clues to wtcc at 17shard.com and a Cosmere character that those clues correspond to. I read each clue aloud, and after each one, our panelists have a chance to guess who's that Cosmere character. Let's begin.
Oh yeah, it's so good to have you back, Grace. It's just been so long since you've been on a show. It feels like, and with us doing bi-weekly, it's just we record less shows.
I just realized something. 2023 is going to be interesting in terms of WTCC as
oh
just
my
people
God,
start sending
that
in
is
all the new
horrifying.
characters.
That is a horrifying thought.
Yep.
Let's
Lost Metal coming in. We have all these, and then we have Stormlight 5.
We'll be up to date on the show. But yeah, WTCC has all Cosmere spoilers. It's how it'll have to be.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what do
Clue
we got?
1.
Yeah.
Oh, this one was sent in by Lauren.
Okay. Hi,
Clue
Lauren.
1.
Hey, Lauren.
This character hangs out with Radiance a lot.
Hoyd.
No.
Okay.
Adolin.
It is not Adolin.
Hangs out Lopen?
Hangs out with Radiance.
Yeah, so my guess is Lopen.
Okay. No, it is not Lopen. Clue 2. This character is often happy and playful.
Syl?
It is Syl.
Oh, yay!
Oh, nice.
Thanks for keeping that episode snappy. Yeah, that is cute to have hanging out with Radiance and then it be a spread. I like that.
Yeah. The other clues
I
were
actually considered Syl, but
yeah. Well, too
clue
late.
3. This character likes experimenting with fashion. This character loves the wind, and this character is not human.
Oh, those were good ones.
Yeah, that was good. That's good.
To cap things off, we have a priority queue sent in from Grey Hive.
Nice. I think.
Nice.
Well, for our weekly ones, I think we're just gonna do 2, and not 3, just to keep the episodes kind of tight. We talked about a lot of news though in this one, so this one's gonna be a bit longer than the others. Maybe. Who knows what's happening on the Tuesday streams? So,
yeah.
What did Grey Hive do?
This character is been a bodyguard. Has been a bodyguard.
Melan, she disguised herself as one of Innate's bodyguards in Shadows, which I just finished reading yesterday.
It is not Milan.
Goradel? He was one of the Lord Ruler's dudes at Kredek Shaw, right?
It is not Goradel.
Okay.
So I'm gonna guess Scar. He was one of Adolin's bodyguards.
That is not that character.
That's true. Like all of Bridge 4 qualifies because they were all bodyguards. In Words of Radiance, basically.
Clue 2. Their entire immediate family is alive.
Whoa! Oh, I was gonna say is dead. I'm like, that doesn't narrow it down at all. But they're all alive. Ooh, that keeps it open quite a lot.
Ooh.
And it eliminates anyone with like dead unnamed mothers too.
Oh my God.
Boy. That's a tricky one. It really feels like that should narrow it down pretty significantly, shouldn't it?
Narrowed it down so significantly, I have no idea.
It's true though. Yeah, screw it. I'm gonna say Town. I know
It's not Town.
I know his remaining family's been dead for thousands of years, but you know what? He was a bodyguard or something. Maybe Ash's bodyguard. I don't know. And like Ash is still around, so yeah. Shut up.
I guess I'm gonna do like a guess that doesn't really fit, but Karata from Elantris.
Oh.
She was guarding Rayoden, kind of.
It's not Karata.
She has a daughter.
Yeah.
And the husband. The husband's still alive.
I think so.
Yeah, like if we don't know if their parents are dead, like I feel like clue 2 is like a positive clue where we definitely know that all their family's alive, right?
Yeah.
And it's not just like we don't know.
Because my thought was Rock, but his brother is dead.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Most of Bridge 4 just doesn't have...
Are you guessing, Veronica?
No, I'm just thinking aloud. Like, most of Bridge 4's family just isn't around, or we don't know about them.
Or usually dead.
Or dead. So that disqualifies a lot of them.
It disqualifies everyone in Bridge 4 that I can think of.
Yeah.
Unless it's like March or Pete, which like we don't know anything about. And one of them's dead.
Oh my god, what's the name of the...
Sorry, Martin F. Excuse me. The ones that were introduced in Words of Radiance, right? That
Yeah. Mm-hmm, the ones that got killed, yeah. Oh my god, what's the name of the guard from the Cobalt Guard? Which...
Oh.
Yeah, because that is...
Like in Way of Kings? Like in the Battle of the Tower? That dude?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know his name. But I like that guess. I think his family's probably dead, though. I don't think we know anything about his family.
They're bodyguard, exactly. But, oh my god, what's his name, though? One that's always with Dalinar. That we know his wife is alive and his son is alive, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe them, but I forget their name.
The archer guy with a tattoo?
I think.
Oh god. Taleb?
Mm-hmm.
He's the archer guy with the tattoo. He's the old blood.
Yeah, let's just go with Taleb because the other person I'm thinking about
it is not Taleb.
Okay. I have an interesting guess. Let's see if Clue 3 ruins it.
Clue 3, this character is a shard bearer.
Oh, it totally ruins it. I was going to say Tensoon because like the Condor families are alive. Were a shard bearer, or they are a shard bearer rather, right?
Yeah.
Queen Fen's son. I can't remember his name.
It is not Queen Fen's son.
That's a good guess, though.
Yeah, I like that. Bodyguard, immediate family alive, shard bearer. None of the Devars work because there's still so many deaths.
I have a guess, but again, I can't. Oh my.
I'm still trying to think of that name of that Cobalt Guard guy in the Battle of the Tower. It's totally pointless and not what I should be thinking about it anyway. Would you accept Grace if I said one of the Call siblings, but I don't know which of the three? Like, I know one of them has I think one or two of them has shards.
No, that's not specific enough.
Oh my god, yeah.
Did they guard? Did they guard, though?
Yeah, that's exactly why I discarded them earlier, and that's what I was thinking about. Thank you.
Did General Call Sr. die? Is he still alive? I think he's still alive.
He's still around.
I think he's still alive. And then Teshav's still alive.
I like to imagine the Calls as, like, off-camera, the most functional family in the Cosmere.
I hope so. You know what? I'm just going to go with a Rotten Call, because that's just one that I remember the name of.
It is not... Or I don't... It is not that Call.
Okay.
I refuse to pronounce a Rotten as his name. But I'd have to see it to decide how I want it pronounced. So.
There's a Rotten, there's Melaran, right?
Yeah, you said Tishav was the other one?
Tishav's the mother.
Tishav is the mother.
Oh, she's the mother, okay. Then I'll just go with Call Senior and leave it at that.
It is not Call Senior.
Oh, it's one of the other two sons, though. Watch it be. Watch me be totally wrong, and we're just like, what are the calls?
Clue 4.
Okay.
This character has attacked a herald.
Is it Cord?
It is Cord.
Oh, yeah, because it's okay, nice. And does have plate now, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
nice.
Clue 5 is this character is a twin.
Which herald did Cord attack?
Nail. During the battle, the fight where Dalinar sees into his past. She shoots, Nail flies up to give the big speech about justice and all that, and then Cord just shoots him in the face.
Wow, I don't remember that at all. I gotta reread Rhythm of War, good God.
I mean, this does happen immediately before Dalinar has this little trip down Nail's memory lane.
That was a bit more memorable, I admit.
Yeah. now that you mention it, I do remember that. I would have never guessed.
No,
I wouldn't have remembered Cord attacked the herald.
Nice. Well, we hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you are okay with us having it be a week later because we got to record on the weekend and I need some time to edit. Yep. So hopefully that's okay. A little delayed, but you're gonna get lots of content this month, that's for sure. And next year. And next year, don't That's painful to think about. If you want to support our Patreon and submit Who's That Cosmere Character priority queues, you can support us down below. Help us pay for editors, because we're gonna need that in 2023. That's for sure. Got train up some more people to edit. Otherwise, I'm gonna die. So support Patreon to help give me a massage so I can relax and not die and pay for editors. So there you go. That's a Patreon pitch. You can find us on 17shard.com for news, discussion, theories, fun that you could ever want. There's a secret project Discord channel. There's a secret project forum that you can blab your heart out on these crazy new things.
Yep.
And you can find us on SoundCloud, YouTube. Subscribe for more content. You can leave us a review on iTunes, and we will see you all next time.
Oh, and for engagement, because again, I've been watching the other ones. If you've read Aether of Night, what's the thing from that book that you'd most like to see make it into canon? And if you haven't, what do you think the Aethers, well, the other like colors they mentioned, which are presumably Aethers because spores, what do you think they do there?
Sure, great, love it. Great. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Call.